Hey, what's up, guy? It's your urban property preservation guy, Bingham, aka your Idris Alba of property preservation. Just being silly. Um, this video is going to be about some of the negatives about the property preservation field, um, which definitely affects your bottom line and in any career field you're in. You know, if you're a lawyer, there's some negative drawbacks. You're an engineer, some negative drawbacks. Excuse me. You're a teacher, some negative drawbacks. So, and with the property preservation, there are also negative drawbacks. So, sometimes I feel as though when someone want to get into a field, instead of them hear all the good things about the field, I feel as though they need to hear some of the negatives so they could be properly equipped and well aware of what they're getting into. Because you don't want to get into something that you hate. So let's get it. There's a lot of things about the property preservation field that I dislike. Going to a community and you're doing an initial secure change in the locks, securing the property for the first time, and then people calling the cops on you. Cops coming, as if you're a crooked, you show them paperwork, then they start to act, accordingly. Um, just going to properties, putting in bids. You drive like maybe an hour away to put in a bid. They pay you a trip charge like $25, and really and truly your time and your gas just to put in the bid, hoping you get the bid. And if you don't get the bid, you lose money when you go put in that bid. So there's several drawbacks, but two of the main drawbacks I dislike about the property preservation field is I think two things, and one is referred to as a back charge, and other is referred to as a no charge. So let's talk about a no charge order. Um, no charge order is when they send you out to a property to do work at your own expense. That means I can't charge them for the work being done. And normally or typically this happens when you did a job, you didn't do it correctly, um, you fail to put a bidding for a job, and now because you didn't put a bidding for a job, now there might be issues with the property, so they want you to go there to fix it because they say it's your neglect why the property is in this condition or this happened to the property. Um, Example would be I went to a property to put in a bid to remove a door, to install a door because the door was damaged. While at the property, you have to take photos around the property, the interior of the property, to show them exactly the property condition. We call it property condition photos. So we do that. And, while taking photos, I take a lot of photos so they will see the photos. And let's just say there's shrubs, like, little shrubs or little branches touching the house. Maybe not causing any damage, but it's touching the house. So typically, they want you to put in a bid to trim those shrubs 6 inches or 6 feet away. I think it's 6 inches away from the property, right? So you're there to take a bid for a door. So you're just taking photos, the measurements of the door to put in the bid, but you're not really thinking about these shrubs over here. So you upload the photos, submit the photos, you invoice it, then they have another rep over on their side that goes through the photos, look at the photos, and that's okay. They're trying to see if the bid you put in justify the amount of money you put in for the bid to replace the door. But while they're doing that, you send them all the photos to look through all the photos. So if they see that, hey, Orain didn't put in a bid to trim the shrubs away from the tree, send me an email. Hey, Orain, I'm putting a bid to trim the shrubs away from the tree. That's typically how it goes, right? But you have reps that come in, they cycle out because if you're a rep and you're not doing your job proficiently, they let you go over there with a company that I work with. And what? So typically that would happen, right? So I forgot to put in the bid for like some shrubs, and they would like say, "Hey, put in the bid for." And sometimes they don't even ask, to be honest, because at one time contractors used to put in bid for everything. They're like, "Oh no, don't put in the bid unless we ask for you to put in the bid for certain issues at the property, right?" And So you didn't put in the, so none of the reps call you and say, hey, put in a bid to the for the shrubs that's touching the property. So you put in your bid for the door. Maybe you get the approval for the door. You knock that out. Cool. Maybe 2, 3 months later, the shrubs grew more, right? Then they send you a no charge. Please go to the property and trim the shrubs 6 feet away from the property because you neglect to put in a bid on this date 2 months ago when we sent you to the property to put in a bid for the door. So, and a lot of time you go to somebody's property, you might put in bids for everything, and they say they don't want the bids or they didn't ask for the bids. So sometimes they're selective, and sometimes you have to argue with a rep like, hey, listen, I put in bids last time for all these things. They were not approved. They said they did not need them. But then a new rep come over and they want to be anal or say, hey, you should have gave a bid for this, and you didn't, so you're going to have to do this. No charge. That's one example of a no charge. No, another no charge. If you go to a property and they feel that you neglect to mention something. A prime example, I did an eviction once, and that was the worst eviction of my life. I lost several $1,000s, at least $3,000 or $4,000 on that one eviction. But anyways, they gave me a no charge, a no charge order, meaning I had to go to the property and install a heat and ventilation system because when I did the eviction and I took photos through the whole property, I did the property condition report. I didn't mention to them that there there is not a what is that called now? The external part of the HVAC system outside. So because I didn't see anyone that went to the property, I didn't really see any signs that there had a HVAC ductwork inside the property. So now it seemed as if maybe there were one condenser unit outside beside the house, because the condenser unit is outside and the hose go and the hose that pump the air from the condenser unit go inside the house and through the duct work and blow the air through the house to keep you warm and cold. So I didn't see any out there. So I didn't put in a bid or realize I didn't put in a bid or anything like that. Literally months later, I would say over 3, 4 months, maybe over 5 months later, because what they do, they go over their photos like months later at times because they have different contracts to go to the property at times, and they wanted me to. They said, due to due to your failure to report that they were missing HVAC system, and you did not put in a bid to replace the HVAC system, go to the property and replace the HVAC system on your own dime. I'm like, HVAC system for that house a good $5,000-6,000. I'm like, crazy. So I'm just irate. I'm like, what kind of foolishness is this? So I'm sending the photos, so because they give you a chance to dispute the no charge orders. So I will always dispute them. And I'm like, listen, I didn't see any duct work inside the property. I didn't see any condensing unit outside the property. So what you guys talking about? You could see there may have been one there, but I did not know if they installed it, they removed it, whoever lived there. Excuse me, I didn't know if they installed it or removed it. So I'm gonna put a bid in for that, right? I sent them the photos, and remember when I submitted all the photos of the property, if they really wanted me to install the HVAC unit and say, hey, Bingham, can you please put in a bid to install HVAC? Too easy. But no, months later, so it was a big dispute. It went on for a while, but long story short, that one I won because when I talked to one of the managers, they said, how could they want you to install something that was not there before and you didn't really see any sign of any damage to the property where somebody stole it? You could see that they had maybe a unit there before because they had a cement area where you have the condenser unit sit on top of. So I went through that for like months. I had to keep on. I'm like, I'm not paying this. I'm not doing this. I'm not installing because this is ridiculous. So that's an example of a no charge order. And no charge orders are the worst. I hate them because you have to dispute them. And for the most part, they're always going to try to win those no charge orders because they're trying to say the banks or the asset management companies say they're not paying to get it fixed because the company I work with should have mentioned that before, and it comes straight back down to the contractor, which is myself. And I'm telling you, that was a heartbreaker. Those like just kill your mood, especially when it's a no charge order for like $5,000 or $6,000, $2,000, $800. Like I had property where I repair a roof, and within weeks, this is another one where I had a guy. He installed a roof for me. He didn't properly install the roof, and the roof started leaking, and the water came through the roof and got down on the second floor, and from the second floor went through the the floor on the second floor and went to the first floor. And I'm telling you, um, I had, it was a no charge order. I had to fix the ceiling, fix the floor, so that cost me several $1,000s because of negligence of this guy. And so so that's examples of no charge orders where you have to go to the property and do work on your own dime and you're not being paid for it. Now back charge. Back charge is another one I hate. Back charge is when they back charge and take money out your account. Right? Give you an example for back charge. I put in a bid to repair a roof in Southwest Philly maybe several years ago, like 2017, 2016, somewhere around there. And I put in the bid to repair it. So on top of the roof, you could obviously it was leaking, but you can't tell exactly where the leak is at, and you can't tell exactly how much of the decking need to be removed um, when you're going up there to assess the roof to put in the bid, right? So, but you gotta think, okay, maybe the whole decking need to remove. So you put in the bid, then thinking maybe the whole decking need to remove or part of the decking, right? So I've had bids before where I put in the bid to remove part of the decking and the whole decking need to remove. So when I called them for that, they say you should have put in you should have made it a bit higher. They're not gonna pay me an extra money. I have to fix it, because once you put in the bid, that's it. And once in a blue moon, they might try to up the money because if you find some issues that you didn't see before. But every time you do a roof job, especially with a flat roof, kind of hard because you could tell that the roof is leaking. But until you remove the rolled roof and the roof and cement, you can't really tell where it's leaking or if the whole all the decking is damaged. Because it could be part of the decking damage. You just repair that part, and then you put your rolled roof, you put your roof and cement, your felt paper and everything. So this one property, I put in the bid, they approved the bid, and only a small part of the roof decking was leaking, that area, or damaged. The decking was damaged, and we repaired that part. Long story short, got paid, and months later, I got a no charge for $2,000. Say, I excuse me, Damn, excuse me. I got a bid. I got a no charge. No, I got a back charge for $2,000. The one in my account take out $2,000. Say I did not install the new decking. So I had to try to dispute that, right? Because I might listen when I go to the property, we can't tell exactly if the whole decking is damaged. They say anything you put in your bid, that's what you have to do. I'm like, come on. Because I said, listen, if I go up there and the decking is all damaged, I'm pretty sure you guys not gonna give me the money to do the decking over. I mean, give me the extra funds I need to repair the additional part of decking that need to be installed. So that's the example of a back charge. So with the company I work with, what happens, they'll give me work throughout the month. Every day they will send me a work order, several work orders, and we knock out the work. As you knock out the work, submit it. Once they invoice on their part, then it will show in your account online. You have an account with them online. You will see the funds like, okay, we pay we pay you for this, so it's in your account. You know, so the more work you do, the more invoice you do, it start adds up. They start tallying up the work the work you do throughout the whole month. So show you how much you're gonna get in your next check from them. So if I knock out a roof job and I get $4,000 for that roof job, I want to trim some shrubs or trees. I got $700 for that. So the 4,000 plus 7, that's 4,700. So I'm like, okay, my next check gonna be 4,700. So as you do put in bids and so forth, all those adds up. It kind of show how much money you're gonna make on your you're gonna get on your next check because your work that you do throughout the week, throughout the month, it adds up. So it will show. So what they did when they do a back charge, they will go in that account where you have all your funds that they have for you before they cut you a check. They'll go take a certain amount for that back charge. I've been back charged for a property where they told me to install a ball to install a ball in the above ground pool because every time it rained, the pool cover would sink down to the floor of the pool, right? So they wanted me to install like a huge flotation ball inside there, so the pool cover will not sink, right? And long story short, they told me to do it. We did it. I know that crap would not work, but whatever. So they send me a, they back charged me $300 and something. Said, oh, we told you to install the ball to make sure the pool cover does not sink into the pool. And long story short, it sinks into the pool. I did exactly what they told me to do. If it did not work, that's not my accord. That's your problem. I did exactly what you guys told me to do. Because that was the first time I did something like that. I was not aware of um, people doing that for their pool cover not to sink into the pool. And it was a round above ground pool. So I did that and they no charge me. So I tried to dispute it. They kept that money and never paid me back. There have been times if they pay you for a job that you did and they felt as though they overpay you, they'll back charge you. For instance, I put in a bid. This one, oh yeah, this is one of the worst ones. So you put in a bid for a property. Okay, let's give you an example. Put in a bid to remove debris from inside of the house and exterior of the house, right? I take photos. You gotta go there, take photos, take your measurement, right? So you give an estimated guess of the cubic yard of debris and personal that you're removing, right? So they will pay like $50 per cubic yard. So I go up in there and I give an estimate. So when I'm putting estimates, I'm thinking about the U-Haul truck I'm gonna need, or if I'm gonna need to call a dumpster to put all the stuff in the dumpster and they come, I gotta calculate the price for that. The guys I'm paying for the day to help do that work, you know. I gotta calculate all my expenses and then my pay for me getting the job done. So I did one and I gave them the estimated cubic yard of debris, you know, and they look over the photos. So before they approve any bid, they will look over the photos, and once they look over the photos, they will deem if it's necessary, if the bid is necessary to be approved. Like, okay, the photos justify the amount of cubic yard that he's bidding for. They approve it. I go to the property weeks, months later. Once they approve it, I go to the property, get the job complete. After I get the job complete, submit the photos and everything. I submit before, during, and after photos. Then they were like, oh, the photos doesn't justify the cubic yard of debris that you initially bid for, so we're gonna back charge you $800. I'm like, hold up, guys. I sent you the photos. You looked over the photos, and if you felt as though the cubic yard it was not justifiable, then you should have said, okay, we're not gonna approve for this amount. They approve it, and once we get the work done, they feel as though the during and after photos will show does not justify, let's say, 30 cubic yard of debris and personals. So now they want to take that money. So you got to argue with them. You got to not necessarily argue with them. You got to go through a process of disputing it. You got to try to show extra photos to show like, hey, listen, it's justifiable. Because remember, you already paid the dumpster guys. You already paid the guy that worked for you. Your gas and your toll to get to and from the property. All those money already paid because once you have someone working for you, you got to pay to get all that stuff done. And once everything is done, that's when they send you the money back. Now, so you pay everyone, and now they're taking back money out your profit, or take all your profit, or to the point where you're losing money, you know. And I'm like, come on. So that definitely happens at times in the property preservation field. Those back charge and no charge, and they'll take a large portion of your money if you don't know what you're doing. So you gotta be very meticulous. You gotta be very meticulous in what you're doing. Make sure you're doing it properly, precisely the way they ask, and take as much photos. So if they're trying to send you a no charge, or they're trying to give you a back charge, you could have photos to um, their photos to dispute it, and then you always write notes to them. Send them notes like, hey, I think this is wrong with the property, but I can't put in a bid for something. Or if you go to a property and there's work that you can't do, you could just say, hey, to put in a bid for this is outside my scope of work. I can't do it. So now they know that you can't do it. They gotta try to get another contract to do it, so they can't back charge you, no charge you down the line or something along. But that's just some of the negative drawbacks about being in the property preservation field. Hope you guys like. So like, subscribe, and share. So we're gonna build this channel. And also just bear with me, guys. I'm definitely gonna get better at this. My skills on this YouTube stuff, it's coming. So this is like my third or fourth video. So by the time I reach to my 10th video, it's gonna be way better edited, better, and everything. So just work with me. I just want you guys to get familiar with myself, and once you guys start getting familiar with me, my face, and what I'm talking about, like I said, then we're gonna get more personal and talk more on here. All right, so have a good one.